Hey there, I'm Stephen Bereznicki, and welcome to another Fossil Fighters Top 10 list. Today's list will be covering the top 10 fire element Vivosaurs that should appear in a future Fossil Fighters game. For this list, we'll be covering Vivosaurs, from dinosaurs to reptiles to mammals, etc., that I consider should be of the fire element in a future Fossil Fighters game. Keep in mind that this means only the fire element will be discussed, but rest assured, I'll work on the other elements sometime later. And we will be excluding Vivosaurs that have already been discovered in the previous games, including Fossil Fighters Frontier. As such, only the ones that have not been in the games as of yet will be on this list. Oh, before I forget, from this video onward, I'll be doing secret number 11 picks in the same manner of Screw Attack's top 10 lists, unless otherwise noted. Alrighty then, let's get started. Number 10. Oxalaia. A Spinosaur hailing from what is now Brazil, Oxalaia could be the fire-type Vivosaur of that classification. It could possess poison skills like other Spinosaurids, and maybe a confused skill as well. Why confusion? Well, what if I told you that Oxalaia is named after an African deity despite being discovered in Brazil? What? Yep, I'm just as confused as you are. To be fair though, while I don't live in Brazil, I have heard that black people live there too, so what do I know? Anyway, you might also be wondering why Oxalaia should be fire-type. Well, besides the obvious uniqueness of the kind of Vivosaur that is usually water-type being a fire-type, it is also because it is a commemoration of a disastrous event that happened in September in 2018. A fire erupted in the National Museum of Brazil, destroying 20 million plus specimens, Oxalaia included. With that in mind, let's give a salute to all fossils consumed by this very unfortunate and infernal occurrence. You will all be missed, and hopefully someday rediscovered. Number 9. Draco Pelvic. One of the few dinosaurs with a draconic ring to its name, including Dracorex, Draco Pelvic, which means dragon shield, is an ankylosaurid, but a rather small one at that, with estimates giving it a mere 2 feet long. I suppose to compensate, it could have a defense stat that could rival that of the air-type Nodo, which has the highest natural defense stat of any Vivosaur, including special unlockables and legendaries. FP Absorb, or FP Plus, could also be a good ability to give this tiny tank. And to keep with the draconic ring to its name, it could have some coloring and other designs that give it a dragonic shield sort of look. I mean, for crying out loud, it's called Draco Pelvic, so why not? Number 8. Pyroraptor. Now you guys are probably expecting a certain Dromaeosaur to make the list here. Well, here it is, Pyroraptor. An obvious choice, considering its name means fire thief, Pyroraptor could use poison skills like other Dromaeosaur Vivosaurs, as well as at least one skill that steals FP. Now, some of you might be wondering, why is Pyroraptor only number 8 on this list? Well, don't get the wrong idea, it's certainly not out of dislike for the creature, but the fact is, there are 7 other creatures on this list that I just, well, simply can't put behind it. Having said that, Pyroraptor is certainly a creature with a wicked name, and one that might be tough if teamed with others, and in possession of the rare Link ability as well. Assuming Pyroraptor is a mid-range Vivosaur, it could inflict some serious damage depending on where it is on the field. Now that would be a fire thief if I ever knew about one. Number 7. The Direwolf. Conversely, you could probably consider the Direwolf a mammalian counterpart to Pyroraptor, albeit somewhat stockier, furrier, and a contender with Smilodon back in the day. This pack animal could also be a mid-range Vivosaur with a Link ability as well. Some might say that if so, it might be little more than a carbon copy of Android, which might be somewhat true, but it could be deadly in a pack of other Direwolves or other Vivosaurs in the villainous team syndicate. I mean, if Vivosaurs are like Pokemon, then chances are they are only evil, or at least misguided, if their trainers are. And these Direwolves could confuse opponents if they work together, like they would have in real life. I mean, has the epic anime film Princess Mononoke taught us nothing? Number 6. Majungasaurus. Oh, dang it, sorry, Majungasaurus. Pretty much the oddball dinosaur, male Majungasaurus certainly looked the part, much like in Jurassic Fight Club. And that part, the bonehead crash helmet-like part, could make for a deadly attack against other Vivosaurs, especially Earth element Vivosaurs. And Majungasaurus' skull could make for a great confusion skill, headbutting the opponent with enough force. A relative to the Carnotaurus, Majungasaurus may also be one of those Vivosaurs that have no team skills, and disables team skills altogether if teamed with others that do. I mean, I'm honestly not all for that, but it'd probably be inevitable. Anyway, I still think Majungasaurus sounds cooler, but that's my opinion. Regardless, he could be the fire-type Vivosaur's answer to the Earth element Carno. Number 5. Arcturus, also known as the short-faced bear. If you think grizzly bears are frightening, if a bit unstable, wait till you meet this guy. Assuming time travel is actually possible, or if another Fossil Fighters game was in the works. Regardless, these cave bears are among the biggest and heaviest, if not the most so, of bears ever. Even medium-sized Vivosaurs would think twice before accepting a bear hug from an Arcturus, am I right? Considering that bears hibernate, I could imagine that Arcturus could inflict sleep skills on the opponent, possibly with a team skill that could put multiple opponents to sleep with a 70% success rate. A bit overpowered? Maybe, but other mammals inflict status moves with greater success rates, notably Androck with that 90% Enrage team skill. Arcturus might have the highest attack rating of all land mammal Vivosaurs. Well, maybe rivaled by one other mammal Vivosaur, but we'll get to that later. Number 4. Gorgonops, or Inostrancevia. For short, we'll call this creature Gorgon. When I first saw it in Walking with Monsters, I was awed by its appearance, like it was a quadruped T-Rex or something like that. In terms of temporal timeline, part of the redundance, Gorgon was the first creature to possess saber fangs, long before even the Smilodon. Now, I know its relative Inostrancevia was larger, but the name Gorgonops, or Gorgon for short, sounds better, but again, that's my opinion. Gorgon could have a high critical rate, as well as a poison skill to weaken the opponent, kind of like in Walking with Monsters. While not as defensive as some other carnivores like Dasplito, it could have a much higher speed stat, and being a mammal-like reptile, it might possess a team skill when teamed with Demetro or Adapo or both. In Walking with Monsters, the narrator says that it had a longer skull to house a larger brain. This opinion might be a long shot, but if it was as intelligent as Raiden, Brachio Super Evolution, hopefully Sir Patrick Stewart could voice an intelligent Gorgon.
The war is still coming, and I intend to fight it. And I will always be there, old friend.
What? I think that'd be cool, don't you? Beyond that, though, these reasons are why Gorgon's number 4 on the list. Number 3. Asukas. Now, I have to hand it to Gorgon, I kinda do like him more than this pick, but beyond that, I honestly couldn't put him over this killer croc, as this Rauisuchian beast has made its way onto this list for certainly more reasons than one. Whereas most crocodilians, including today's crocs and gators, have legs sprawled to the sides, Asukas, like other Rauisuchians including Asukas, have legs straight underneath them, much like the dinosaurs. And the size of this killer croc? Well, let's just say that this is the largest Rauisuchian ever, at least from the estimates, as only the skull has been found as of yet, and he's one croc tall enough to look you dead in the face, and not just out of curiosity. And he's up to 10 meters long. That's a length of over 30 feet of Giga Killer Croc, dude. In terms of size, he beats out even other carnivorous creatures, including Daeodon, which is an entelodont, Andrewsarchus, and yes, even Arcturus, the number 5 pick on this list. That makes him the largest land carnivore ever. Well, except for carnivorous dinosaurs, including Tyrannosaurus rex, Gigantopithecus, and Spinosaurus, among others, but even so, this guy comes pretty close to T-Rex's size. Now, some might be wondering what the Fasola part of its name means. Well, I've taken the dubious liberty of looking up what Fasola was. Now, I say dubious because I've done 2 different searches, one of which was on Google Images, which pulled this up. Yeah. Polish beans? Donald, calm down. We haven't even looked at the other part of the search yet. Jeez. Anyway, in my other search, I found the definition of Fasola in the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, which reads as follows. A system of solemnization used in England and America in the 17th and 18th centuries, using, of the original 6 Guadolian syllables, only the 4, fa, sol, la, and mi, and often used in conjunction with a shape note system of musical notation. So, I guess Asukas could have a musical notes or heavy metal guitar motif as part of its design. Either that or Fasola has several different meanings. Science aside, Asukas could be a powerhouse among most non-dinosaur Vivosaurs, what with its bite force following the same formula as even T-Rex in terms of design. It could probably have a new ability which prevents critical hits, as if it had heavy crocodilian armor. but with such armor, it could be offset by low speed inherent to crocodilians and other semi-armored creatures, like most ankylosaurids. And sure, being fire type means it has a disadvantage against water vivosaurs, but it doesn't look built for swimming in the first place, does it? Regardless, perhaps like Xeno in the first two games, with the right setup, Asukas' bite force can surely make up for its shortcomings, probably several times over. If you were to face this Crocohemoth in the new Fossil Fighters game, I'd do well to give you 2 words of advice.
Be prepared!
Number 2. Gigantopithecus. In case you were wondering, this giant prehistoric simian, who's what some might call the prehistoric Bigfoot, could be the rival to the number 5 pick of this list, Arcturus, in terms of attack power. This Giga Ape, however, is higher on this list for at least a few very good reasons, albeit slightly opinionated reasons. Now, Gigantopithecus could have quite literally a wild moveset, which I'll refer to as the drunken monkey fighting style. Much like Wario and Super Smash Bros. Since Brawl, his skill set could be unpredictable, with a furious skill that can confuse almost everyone on the field, including allies, for balance reasons, as well as a hefty team skill with an 80% success rate of confusion. Yes, this is why I call this skill style the drunken monkey. Again, for balance reasons, he could have some somewhat negative support effects, except for an AZ ally's attack stat, and his confusion skill could affect friend and foe alike, which means that this skill should probably be best used as a last resort. And if he had the solar power ability, Kong help us all. Going ape like this can be risky though, if fossil fighters using Gigantopithecus are not careful, even if certain fossil fighters were villainous.
Surrender or face my fury.
2 words, anger management.
Before you show my top pick, here is one honorable mention. Number 1. Dynamoterror. A very recent discovery that might just rival even the king of dinosaurs, Dynamoterror Dynasty's the powerful Terror ruler, takes the top spot of this list. One of the oldest Tyrannosaurids discovered thus far, Dynamoterror stalked ancient New Mexico, which at the time was mostly forest and swampland in the late Cretaceous. Dynamoterror could have an explosive moveset, not literally though, with a strong skill that can attack all opposing Vivosaurs, with or without a team skill. Like most other Tyrannosaurid Vivosaurs, it can also possess a skill that can scare the opponents, sometimes rendering them immobile or otherwise disrupting their moveset. So if you thought Gigantopithecus might be overpowered, Dynamoterror could be the answer to such a broken moveset, and might just be the strongest Tyrannosaurid behind T-Rex. Now for secret number 11, we have Hyaenodon, a creature with quite possibly the strongest bite force ever. Sure, he isn't actually a hyena relative, but he is more dangerous to be sure. What with it being the size of a rhino? Do you agree with my picks? What other creatures do you think would make great Fire Vivosaurs? Feel free to comment on that below, and be sure to like and subscribe for more top 10s by Bereznicki and other fun videos too. Thanks for watching, take care, see you next time.